Welcome to Homemaking with Mima. My name is Wendy, and my project for today that I've set for myself is I will be canning up chili. I've never canned chili before. I've seen others do it. I need to use up a bunch of the hamburger chubs. If you've seen a previous video in regards to my freezers, I have a lot of hamburger. So I'm trying to cycle through what I can before we end up purchasing or picking up our next quarter beef, which will probably be in about 2 months. So I've got all my ingredients here. I pre-cooked some hamburger with chili seasoning, but I didn't have quite enough, so I did pull out seasonings to add to it. I just looked up a recipe on Pinterest because I figured I'm just gonna use what I have and throw it in there and hopefully it tastes good. It should. Usually my concoctions aren't that bad. I don't have a recipe for my chili. I just picked out things that I had in my pantry, and these are the items here that I'm going to be using, that I'm going to be putting into my chili, and I'm going to bring you along with me today. And I know you see a table over here with crock pots. While I'm doing this, if I'm going to be putting a roast in a crock pot, and I'm also going to be putting some cleaned russet potatoes so that we can have like a baked potato to go along with our roast. And I don't have a lot of cupboard space, and my tables I'm going to be using for canning. So I brought up another table to put the crock pots on. You got to do what you got to do, right? And that's what I'm doing. Utilizing everything that I have, and I want to make this as smooth as possible. So I'm going to have dinner going in the crock pots. I'll be getting this project done, and so let's go do this. So I'm just putting in my tomato sauce, my tomato soups, and then I'm going to put my seasoning in with that, mix it up real well. Like I said, I don't have a recipe. I'm just going with what I have on hand. I drained and rinsed my kidney beans. I did not do it, however, to the chili beans because I want that flavoring in there. So I'll probably Okay, so as I was saying before, I had a fiasco of a tomato sauce all over my table here. I had to clean that up. Sorry about that. And always get a bigger utensil than what you're going to be using so that you can stir better. Anyway, I was saying I'm going to put this into the microwave and defrost it some so that I can get it broken up to get into here. So it's a little more thick than I'd like it as far as for canning. So I'm going to grab, I want to say 2 more cans of tomato sauce. So I'll be back after I grab those. Okay, so I grabbed 2 more cans of tomato sauce. I only opened up one. I'm going to put that in, stir it up, see what the consistency is for that. I think I am going to open up this other sauce. That's a lot better. So now after I get this stirred, I am going to give it a taste. See if it needs any more seasoning. I am out of the chili powder. But we always add extra chili powder when we do actually eat it. You know, when we sit down to eat it as a meal. So I'm not too worried about that. So I'm not going to do that again. So I put it in this little bucket here, and that's what I had that fiasco of tipping over. So I'm going to get a spoon and I'm going to taste this. That is good. And I believe when it does cook and when it does pressure can, it's going to enhance the seasonings as well. So like I said, we can add seasoning, we can add extra chili powder when we do eat it as a meal. So I'm going to be heating this up. So in this little bowl, I have pure vinegar. I am soaking my weight just to take off any mineral deposits that may be on there because of my water. If you live out in the country, it's probably a good practice to do so that it doesn't affect your canning at all. I don't think it says this in the, I've never read it as far as doing this, but I have seen, when I've watched other YouTubers, there are some that live out in the country and they have really hard water. So they do this. So that's what I'm doing. I made sure that I got my pressure canner up to the level that it needs to be. Well, you can't really see it, but I have a line on that. And I'm warming up the canner. And I have my chili in here. That's coming up to temperature. And I will be putting it into quart jars today so I can fit 7 in my canner. And so I have them heating up in the oven. I do that at 250. I could probably bring it down now because they have been in there for about a half an hour. I'm just taking extra precaution. My jars are washed and cleaned with hot soapy water and vinegar. Take out any residue that may be in them from when they were being stored. And now I'm just waiting for the chili to heat up and then I can get all this canned for you and myself. This is the complete guide of to home canning, the USDA one. I will link it in the description below. This is what I go by as far as my times. And like I said, I am going to be doing it in quarts today. And so anything with meat and beans in quarts has to be processed at 90 minutes. The chili is heated up real well. My jars are still hot. I took them out of the oven. So now I'm going to put the product in. I'm going to get it up to a 1-inch headspace. You can either go to the lip right here, or you can measure on your tool to that little indent right there. And we will be debubbling it as well. Be careful, everything is hot. And you're more than likely are going to make somewhat of a mess. You're going to get stuff on whatever. That's why I've got towels out and a washcloth here. And quite fill this quart jar up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool, and I will put it in the refrigerator, and we can eat that as a meal. Or my husband can take it as lunches, actually. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 quart jars out of that batch of chili. So now I'm going to clean up the jars some. You're going to make a mess. It's always going to happen. Always, always clean the top of your lids and around where your rings are. It's just a good practice to do. It's going to help with your sealing of your jars. Nothing's going to get caught into it while it's going to be trying to make that seal in the pressure cooker. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to be cleaning all the lids off here. I'll be putting the lid on, putting the ring fingertip tight, and then I'm going to place them into the canner. On this lid here, I can see that there's a little bit of the putty that they have on here. I'm not going to use that. I don't trust that. This is an old ball canning lid. I'm trying to use up what I have of those. I do use 4 jars. I'm not an affiliate with them at all. But I'm not going to waste the lids that I did have. So I'm trying to use them up. So now I've got them all, got their lids on. Now I'm going to put them into the canner. And I'm also going to put this one in. I'm going to fill it up with water, put a lid on it. I might put this one here that I took off, just so that it takes up all the room in the pressure canner, so nothing is bouncing around or any of that. It's going to keep everything stable in there. So I'm going to put water into this, put a lid on it. I'm not going to worry about it actually sealing or any of that. That's why I'm going to use this here lid. It's just a good practice to do when you're canning. I do it with my water bathing so that they don't bounce around, and in my pressure canner, I don't want them bouncing around in there either, because they pressure. When it pressure cans at a high temperature, and when it water baths, it's also a high temperature. So everything inside of them cookers are just like a mountain ready to explode with hot lava. Okay, I've got them all into the canner. I've gone over before process of how to use the All-American canner. Also read your manufacturer's manual that comes with your canner as well. I'm gonna get the lid on. I'm gonna bring it up to temperature, and then once it starts to vent through this, you need a steady stream off of that. Once the steady stream starts, then I'm going to start my timer for 10 minutes. Let it vent out for 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is done, then I'm going to put my weight on, which is this right here. I can at 10 pounds of pressure. Then I'm going to bring it up to 240, which is on the gauge there. Once it gets to that 240, then, and it's at a nice steady canning process with the weight, then I'm going to start my timer for the quarts for 90 minutes because you have meat and beans in there, and it is a quart. I'm waiting for that to come up to temperature to start venting, now you clean up your mess. You just clean everything up. And start your dishes, unless you have a dishwasher. So I've got a steady stream going on here. I forgot to video it, and I did set my timer. So now I'm just waiting for the timer to go off, and then I will be setting my weight on there. So the timer had come off. It has come down to pressure, but it has been going for 90 minutes, and I'm just gonna let it sit. So I set my timer for another 90 minutes before I even venture to take off that weight. You just gotta let it come down on its own. So I did have just a little bit of seepage. You can tell that the water is not clear. It's got a little red tinge to it, but that's okay. It's gonna happen when you're pressure canned. Doesn't always happen, but it will happen. And you've seen me take the jars out. I didn't have a huge mess. I didn't have any broken jars or anything. So we're just gonna tuck them away. I always put a little towel over the top, tuck them away, put them to bed for the night. Then tomorrow I'm going to check the seals, wash them up, and we'll see how it all goes then. All right, so the canning of the chili is complete. They turned out really nice. I had no failed seals. And so now we have 5 meals here. A quart size will do my husband and I for a meal, probably no leftovers. So if we wanted to have leftovers, we'd probably open up two quarts, and then we could have leftovers, you know, for a couple days. But 5 meals in a jar. I needed to use up some of that burger. It was suggested to me to possibly create meals in a jar, and I thought that was a great idea. And I was kind of pondering it to begin with, but I kind of rolled with it because I'm like, I've got to deal with some of this burger that I have before our new burger comes, when our quarter cow, when we have to pick that up in possibly 2 months, month to 2 months. So I'm going to be doing another canning project as well to use up some of the burger. Not quite sure what yet, but chili was my first one. I've never canned chili, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. We haven't eaten it, obviously, but it is shelf stable, and now I've gotten 3, I believe I cooked up 3 of those chubs. They're 1 1/3 pounds. I cooked up 3 of those, so now I'm 3 less of the 70 plus that I had. I know it's funny, but it's not funny. If you want to see some of my other canning videos, I'll leave a little card up here, possibly in one of the 2 corners here, so that you can view some of those canning videos in my playlist. I do plan on canning some more because I do have to take care of some more of this burger, just so that I can make room in my freezer. I want to thank you for joining me through this venture and my canning of chili, which I've never done, but I kind of knew the process of it all. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I want you to make it a great day.